Hello, this is a full tutorial of how I do my Northern Lights tumblers. Just going in with a black painted cup that I put a coat of epoxy on, a thin coat, and then I did black glitter on the bottom, and here I'm going in with the green. This is one of those trust the process tumblers, because at this stage it's not going to look very appealing, but trust me, it will get there. Here is a multicolor blue that I use. It's kind of like purplish blue. It's got all different colors in there. And then a little bit of a purple here. And then a pink. And yes, I do like to glitter sitting on the floor. It's my favorite spot to glitter. I find that it contains the mess the most, so I don't have glitter all over the house. But here is a navy blue to finish it off. And I apologize, I forgot to shut the bathroom door behind me there, but there it is. So here I did 5 of them in this batch. All look a little bit different. And like I said, not really cute at this point, but they will be soon. So here we go with our first coat of epoxy once that's dry. And we're going to go in with our mica powders. Just a green mica powder on the silicone brush. I did not speed this process part of it up at all. And you can see that like occasionally like the mica will go off course here. And that's perfectly fine. It kind of adds to the dimension. I'm just kind of going along where the green was applied. And you can see the green looks a lot different today once you get to that second coat of epoxy here. I guess it's the first coat of epoxy on top of the glitter. But yeah, that green really soaks into that black background. Looks a lot different than when I was putting it on there. So I'm just kind of going in, making lines along where that glitter was. I kind of did 2 lines, like one on the top of where the green glitter is and one on the bottom of where the green glitter is. It's going to add dimension. You'll see that in a minute. Doesn't have to be real perfect, as you can see. But here I'm just adding a little bit more. And then I wipe the brush off, and then we're going to go in with the pink mica. Wasn't much pink onto this tumbler, but we'll add a little bit in that pink section. Just a couple little lines, because I only want this as an accent. I want the green to stick out more than anything. And then we'll wipe that off and we'll do our purple. These are the only 3 colors that I use on mine. I do a little purple in the multicolored blue section, as well as in that purplish lavender that I put on there. And I apologize, you might see different tumblers that I'm working on as I keep showing this. Since I was working on 5 of them at a time, I think I filmed several different ones. So, and then I go in with my brush and just wipe it off and just swipe up. I try not to overlap the areas that I swipe. I only swipe up once in each spot. But this is where the magic happens, and it actually starts to look like a Northern Lights tumbler. So it's a pretty easy process. Just take your time and wipe your brush between each swipe so that it doesn't like muddy it all together. And you get these beautiful spots. And that's it. So after that dries, I clean my rims off really well before I go on to the next step. And I did forget to film that I did put some stars on the top of these. So after I did all the mica powders, I just sprinkled them with a few stars. But I go in and I really clean up the bottoms. I really wet sand really well before I put the trees on the bottom. I do lightly sand the tops if I need to. Not too much because I don't want to dull the stars that I put on there. But I cut my trees out with my Cricut. And then once I get those weeded, I'm going to actually cut the section of trees into 3 sections, sometimes 4, depending on the pattern of trees that I'm using. And it goes on much easier. Now, the one thing about using black vinyl is it does cover your imperfections once you get epoxy on it. It's the only color that does that. So it doesn't have to be perfect, and that way these seams that I'm cutting are not going to show at all once I epoxy over top of it. So just make sure that your seams are touching when you put one section on from the next. That didn't make any sense, but you get my meaning, hopefully. So when I put this section on, I have to make sure it touches the other section. That was really difficult to say for some reason. But that seam is not going to show under epoxy. Neither will the little bumps. Like if I didn't sand it like 100% smooth and it was still a little bit bumpy underneath, the epoxy will cover up those bumps as well. They do overlap the trees a little bit, and that's fine. It all works naturally together. Don't worry about it. I did get the air bubbles out of it though. I just put a little slice in there so I could work those air bubbles out. But again, this is all going to fade and disappear underneath the epoxy. I know I'm repeating myself over and over again. But now I trim off the bottom to make sure that it's all even all the way along the bottom. So it doesn't look all wonky. And that's going to be about it, guys. There it is. Now I'm going to show you a couple of them under their first coat of epoxy. This is the 20 ounce. This will get sanded again and then get to the last coat of epoxy when that's dry. And then here is a 30 ounce. And how they're going to look when they're done. Hope you enjoy this tutorial.